Hey guys, it's Shama here, CEO of Scaling Retail, and we are here with Instagram Live and what's going on in the world with retail. As you guys have probably all been following along very closely, there's been a lot of news coming out in terms of the stimulus packages and how they are being distributed amongst a lot of small business owners. Now, you may have been familiar with things like the PPP loan that's coming out of the SBA, as well as the EIDL loan, as well as other types of disaster loans that are going to be rolling out. Now, the biggest issue and problem right now is that a lot of these loans are having some backlogs. Now, certainly, guys, I'm no representative of the SBA, but I can tell you that individual banks will be making those loans out to their existing customers. So if you are banking at Bank of America, or let's say Silicon Valley Bank or Chase, etc., you want to pay very close attention as to whether or not those kinds of payment protection plans and those types of loans are available for you. Now, what are the rules and regulations around them? Don't know all of the details again, but as far as how you are going to be filling them out, the most important things is you're going to need to actually have your cash flow statements and your payroll for the last 12 months since the crisis started. So they're looking to have information from January 31st of 2019 up through January 31st of this year, and then every month for 2020, they want to have a better understanding of how much you have spent on payroll and what those costs look like. Now, of course, depending on the different kinds of loans that you guys are looking to receive, you may also have to show proof of substantial loss to your business if your business has been affected by the coronavirus, especially, guys, you in retail. Really important if your sales have been depleted, if you've seen canceled purchase orders. These are really set in stone and here to help you as you're looking to finance your business through this crisis. Now, when it comes to things like the payment protection plan, that loan, what I think is so amazing about that is it actually gives you an opportunity to retain your employees, and it gives you the chance to maybe not pay back at a very low interest rate or even have that cost be forgiven by keeping your people employed for the next few months. So there are a lot of different opportunities here when it comes to looking at how you're managing your time during this crisis. Certainly in the last week, it's been a mad rush to filling out these loan applications and to making sure you have all of your T's crossed and all of your I's dotted. But when you start to look at, how else you should be spending your time, once you've submitted that application, you're not actually going to be able to get those funds right away. Now, the emergency disaster loan does have a box you can tick off that says, do you want to receive an advance of $10,000 before the rest of your processing happens? And I highly suggest all of you tick off that box because it'll give you access to resources more immediately. But for everything else, you're looking at, a 21-day period for them to be reviewing your application, assuming that everything on there is correct and you haven't missed anything. You're then going to basically take another month for them to process it and get it to you. So what does that mean? Well, more specifically, guys, the resources are going to be there, but probably not for another month or two. So how do you kind of manage this time period right now when you're wondering, how do I keep my employees? What do I do in terms of my business practice? How do I continue to ship to customers when I'm having to deal with all these other financial issues? Now, when it comes to thinking about just the other major news and press and moment opportunity here for your business and brand, there is an opportunity for you guys to be shifting and looking into manufacturing and the supply chain for producing masks. The CDC did make a pretty significant statement in saying that they suggested that all of people wear these masks regardless if they are N95 or not, so that they can have N95 protection on the front lines for nurses and doctors. So given that there is this shortage of these face protection masks, so many different cities have taken it upon themselves to incentivize their garment workers and their manufacturing districts to be able to go ahead and start to produce so they can keep their doors open. So out in Los Angeles, a number of different brands and factories have been reopened for the distinct purpose of being able to produce masks, both for the front lines and also for consumer facing purposes. We actually really need to be able to have products that fit well, that we can reuse, that we can wash, and that aren't going to be taking away from what the doctors and nurses needs to fight the good fight on the front lines. So, guys, today, as I'm kind of going over what the different opportunities are and what's happening right now in the market and how your business can really stand to leverage this time, feel free to send over questions. Always a big fan of hearing how everyone's doing and whether or not there's a business issue or something you might be grappling with. But I'll give you guys just some insight on what's been happening on the front lines behind the scenes with our clients. Now, when we've been looking at how our client base is managing this process, it's actually been really remarkable. We've had a number of clients look to really pivot to creating and investing more into their media and into their brand, more so than ever before. And the reason why is they're taking this as the opportunity to build an audience. Now, it's funny because a lot of times, guys, most of you out there end up getting samples, wanting to start a product or start a brand without actually having developed any sort of community or any sort of reputation in the market, which is totally fine. But what does that mean? That means that you end up having to spend a lot of time and resources on marketing efforts in order to help get there. So what I think is great is if you guys do have small businesses, if you are out there looking to manage your brand reputation, then really at the end of the day, you should be focusing on media and you should be focusing on all the different ways in which you're able to connect to your consumer. And that, I think, has been one of the more remarkable things of the brands that we've been working with. A lot of them are saying, how can I create better content? How can I be of service to our customer base? And what could it really look like if we weren't selling a product? Now, I swear I tell you, about 4 years ago, I had a video and it was all about if you weren't selling a product, what would you be selling? And ultimately, the answer to that is brand. You'd be selling brand. And I think it's valuable to be able to say, hey, during this time of this crisis, I was able to stand for something that was important to my audience, that was important to me, that was important to the brand. And because of that, we were able to strengthen our communications. We were able to strengthen our community during this time. So definitely something to consider. So the two big takeaways this week, guys, are number one, yes, it's a good time to switch your manufacturing to go into the mask business. We've been seeing masks doing quite well in parts of Asia for a long time. And I think these kinds of crises and health concerns are going to make it such that if you have a mask on, it doesn't matter if you're healthy or non-healthy. It's really for the protection of yourself and for others. So yes, you want to look into the mask business. And then the second thing, guys, is really take a look at your media investments. How are you creating better, newer content to really be able to facilitate a strong community? So when you kind of get out of this pivot point that we're in right now with the crisis, you'll be able to emerge much more further advanced. Some of your other counterparts that are grasping or trying to be on so many platforms or trying to grasp at the market is not to be grasped, right? Everyone's under stress, everyone's concerned. Your best option right now is go back, re-strategize, make sure that you're building community, make sure that you're able to, if you can, support those on the front lines with the protection that they need. And at the end of the day, please make sure that you're filling out, as most of you are, your SBA loan forms. Make sure you're filling them out diligently. We actually heard from someone that they went and filled out their forms to then find out, they actually had an issue with their documents and now they're pushed back to the end of the line. So it's a little bit different than in the case where you might hold your place and your slot in the allotment. It's actually going to be a little bit more challenging for you to get your case seen. All right, guys, that's all for me. Unless you have other questions, things you want to talk about regarding crisis management, what to be doing this week, how to be managing the business. Hello, thanks for joining. It's nice to see everybody. I can tell you from a personal note that it's been tough to be able to see so many small business owners take a huge hit. Hey, thanks for joining. It's been sad to see so many small business owners take a hit. Having worked now with hundreds of brands, it's really something special when you get to see a brand launch and grow. And hello, Adriana. To see a brand launch and grow and to be able to see customers respond to it, to see it come into the market. And what I think is so incredibly so incredibly rare is the cultivated level of entrepreneurialism that we all have, and how we've all been kind of in the mindset of we can do anything. And, for many of you small guys, it's just been growing and growing and growing. And this might be the first moment in which you've actually had to sustain a significant loss, not just in, let's say, capital investment, but in terms of brand momentum. And I empathize with you entirely. It is not easy to ask yourself, how will we get back to normal, and what will the new normal look like? It's not easy to be able to ask yourself, will I be able to hire the same talented people, or how do I actually let them go, right? Does it make sense to let them go, and when should that happen? And if you guys do need assistance and help on strategy, on making sure that you have the right business models in place, this is definitely going to be the time to seek that support and do the fundamental things you need to do. The other week I spoke with someone who told me that her business was thriving. It was thriving until the crisis happened. And it really pointed out for her a fundamental flaw in her business model, that she was over-invested in certain things and underinvested in other revenue streams. So if you're particularly feeling the hit of this crisis, it's a good time to ask yourself, how have you not been able to protect your business and your revenue streams? And what might you be able to do? What can you do in order to protect yourself so that when this does emerge, you'll be able to grow a lot faster and run a lot stronger? All right, guys, that's all for me. Please send me an email at hello@scalingretail.com. We'll be here on Instagram Live weekly. In fact, tomorrow I'll be doing something on Maker's Row at 3 o'clock Eastern. So if you guys have other questions, we'll be talking about how to launch your business, what to do during times of uncertainty, kind of more of the same, but over on Maker's Row. So if you guys like them, come by and check me out tomorrow. And if you have questions, please write them down. I know it's not easy sometimes to share the vulnerabilities of our business, but today we're all in it together. And so I think it's important that I remember that. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.